going to. We're going to kind of give them an idea of how to do it.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Miss Josie and this is Miss Nancy. Today we're going to show you guys how we made fairy gardens together. This is mine. I had kind of a beach scene, and today we're going to have Nancy do one on camera so you can see how we did it. So what is a fairy garden?
What is a fairy garden? Well, fairy is a sort of a folk tale lore about little fairies. They're usually 2 to 4 inches in height, and they have wings, and they live in gardens, and they tend to the plants. And some of the plants they actually can use for part of their clothing. Maybe a certain flower will be fluted like, and they might wear it for a hat. Something else might be kind of frilly, like a tulip. They might wear that for a skirt. But they basically tend to the gardens. And if you've ever seen in the mornings, if you get up sometimes in the mornings or walking across the yard, you might see what they call dew tents. I just saw one of these actually the other day in my yard. I was so surprised because Jozee and I were working on these, how to put these together, and I'd forgotten about these. But you can tell by this picture, it just looks kind of like a little covering. And you'll see it has little beads of dew or moisture on it. And the idea is that the fairies have been there and danced, and that makes that dew tent. So fairies can be very mythical, very interesting, and in making a fairy garden, you can if you can do one outside in a garden area or area of dirt and all, or you can just make the make-believe type like Jozee and I have done. But it draws the fairies in. You probably won't see them. They're little sprites, but you can tell they've been there if you see the dew tents. So we're going to give you some ideas of ways to go about it, things you can use, and you'd be surprised. Just look around the house, ask Mom for different things or what she might suggest. You want to keep in mind it's going to be something kind of small, but there's so many different things you can use that you can improvise with. Use your imagination.
Yeah, be very creative. You can make anything into anything. We used so many things we just found around.
Do you want to tell them about some of the things you actually used?
So I found an old birdhouse here. I painted it and then wrote "Fairies Welcome" on it. So this is a fairy house. I painted rocks for ladybugs. Nancy had these stickers, this lawn chair sticker for my beach scene, and these umbrellas. I used a candlelight as a campfire, I guess, and then I used a piece of blue paper and some of those, what are they called, silica
crystals,
yep, as water and rocks. And then I made some mushrooms out of air dry clay. And all of this stuff we really just found in the library or at our houses and brought it in and used lots of hot glue and paint. And my leaves are just from outside. They're not real. A lot of fairy gardens, you plant real plants. There's different types of plants you would use for indoor and outdoor fairy gardens. I just used some that I found outside.
And your flower was just like a thing of lace, right?
Oh, yeah. I made these little flowers out of, I think it was ribbon, like lace ribbon, and I just took 2 sides and I put them over a toothpick and glued them.
Yep.
And yeah, everything was fairly easy.
And your sticks for your campfire, which is so cool.
Outside, got all of those outside, found the stones outside. Nancy had some sand, found the dirt outside. Everything can be found pretty much anywhere.
And like we said, it's imagination. You can use so many things.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to start with, I'm going to do like a pumpkin patch is going to be part of my fairy garden. And this little trellis type thing used to be lots of times when somebody has a wedding cake you'd have a bride and a groom here, and that's actually what this is from. And so I'm going to use this as my little trellis, and all I did was take some little plant flowers, silk flowers, artificial flowers, if Mom has any of those, or Grandma's more likely to have them. And you just cut very carefully, you just cut them apart. Sometimes there's wires in them. These are just plastic. Sometimes they're wires, so you might have to have Mom or Dad help you with some wire cutters. But these, you just snip these off. And then I just took them and put them in one of the little holes here and kind of wove it through a little bit so that the greenery came down through and helped to make it look more like a real thing, where there would be leaves sticking out here and there. So it's very simple to do. And like I said, you'll be surprised at the many things you find that you can use. So I'm going to put this in kind of as an entrance to part of it.
I read in one of our fairy books that we have that doorways and houses are really good for fairies. That opens up the folklore realm, kind of, if you're looking to do that for this purpose. Doors are very important, walkways.
Jozee, if you'll give me the sand, I'm going to turn this around for right now as I work on it, but I'll turn it back so you can see it. I have a little bit of area that I'm going to want to sand path. That little flower.
Yeah.
See, this is just a tiny little flower pot, and although neither one of us have chosen to use it within our display, you actually could take this, turn it upside down, and put something like this on top and make a bird bath. And this is kind of like a bottle top. Like if you buy any kind of a pop that comes in a bottle, that can be taken off and kept. So, you know, anything is possible as far as using. But I'm going to, right now, I'm just going to use it to try and get my little sand path in. I'm going to put a little over here because I have something going on in that spot too pretty soon here. The one thing that I've chosen to use, I'm going to use this. All this is a couple little pieces of dowel rod. Dowel rod is wooden round rod. And this is something I had at home that I made before, and they're just cut into sections and glued together. But if you used it, just a piece of rod, had Mom or Dad cut you a piece maybe an inch or inch and a half long, and then you could paint it if you wanted or whatever. I'm going to hot glue this on the top. Now, this is something you very likely may need help with. Have Mom or Dad, Grandma, somebody help you with the hot glue so that it's safe and you're not going to be burning yourself. All that takes is just a little dab on there. And that's going to be my bird bath. What I wanted to do also was make a pumpkin patch. I'm going to turn this around now. I took some leaves off of there again, just off from some silk flowers, like this one has these long leaves on it. These I thought looked more like pumpkin leaves, so that's why I chose to use them. I'm just going to stick them down in there. And I actually had some little pumpkins from some design thing. Like I said, dig around, ask Mom if you can't look through some of the things that she's kept that are decorative things that maybe she's tired of, and you can look around. Maybe you can even take a little bit of your piggy bank money and go to a garage sale and look for things. Also at Dollar General, they do have some little pieces of furniture and stuff that are supposed to be for fairies, but they're a little more pricey. So, I mean, they're only $1, but that would add up quick. So I'm going to just stick this in here so it looks like my stem of my pumpkin. You can see, maybe that thing's in the way, but my stem of my pumpkin kind of looks like it's coming from the green leaves where the pumpkins are growing. Now I'm going to stick another one over here. Kind of put this one in behind there again so it looks, whoops, my stem come off. I've got more pumpkins.
And if you don't have, if your parents or anyone you know doesn't have things like this, feel free to make them. I made a lot of my stuff in hand out of clay. You can even do like find anything round, make a pumpkin, just decorate it however you want.
Just kind of hide that back in there. Nobody can tell that it's not really attached. Well, I thought that I had. Okay. So you can see that my pumpkins look like they're pretty close to being ripe.
Awesome.
There's a little pumpkin patch. Look at these nice big leaves. Fairies would really like them because they could get in and get away from the raindrops, or they could get away from the hot, hot sun like it's been lately. So they would like big leaves like that. Now, I've got this little path here, and this is what I'm going to use for them. This, you might think this is kind of funny. This is old cake decorating things that Mom would have put on a birthday cake or something. If they don't all fall apart, these are old. I've had them around for a while and I didn't use them. So I'm going to use them for this. These are going to be my stepping stones. Oops, there we go. I'm going to use them for stepping stones. See, you can use anything.
Absolutely anything.
You got to just,
it's a good idea.
Go through the house and look and say, ooh, that might be kind of cool. Yeah, don't you think as a fairy you would love to have flower stepping stones?
Mm-hmm.
Just make a nice little path down through the sand here. And these probably lead to a friend's house or to Fairyville. Who knows? Now, you know, when you have pumpkin patch, and this time of year especially, well, before I do that, it's kind of cool to have sunflowers. Sunflowers grow and develop all throughout the summer, and they're tall and they're very pretty. But we had some in our field a couple years ago, and I was amazed at how they begin and how they grow. They change, it seems like every week or less. When you look at them, they change, because first they're kind of like just the green leaves, and then they slowly turn to that yellow leaf. And the center really is the last to develop. And what that really is the seeds. If you go up close and look at them, the seeds are sort of with the pointy end down. And that's what they use when they harvest sunflowers. They use the seeds for oil and bird seed, bird food, different things. So they're really fun to watch to grow. And you can grow sunflowers anywhere in your yard, along a back fence. And you really would only have to grow even just a small amount, maybe just 3 or 6, and you'd have a little patch of sunflowers. And I think everybody likes sunflowers. What I'm going to do is I have these little butterflies. They're just a craft thing that I found laying around. And I'm going to put one of these on my back fence. I think I'll use this. The blue one going to show up? Jozee, you think the purple
like that
one?
I like that one.
There again, I'm going to have to use a little bit of hot glue. I didn't want to do this earlier because I wanted you guys to be able to see just how quick and simple this can be. I'm going to put a little dot of hot glue on there.
And they don't have to be this extravagant, do they?
Oh,
they can be twigs and leaves and plants, and that's it. You just have to kind of, very up to you. What do you want to do with it?
And not only that, but when you do find something else, you can always add to it.
Yeah, at any time.
So now I have a butterfly on my fence.
Cute.
Down in their fence. And over here is where I'm going to put some of my sunflowers. And I'm going to kind of do with them the same thing I did here. I'm just going to kind of loop it around this fencing a little bit. And I'm going to put them at different levels. So some of them don't look as tall as others. And some of them will be long enough, they'll kind of stick down in the dirt, which will help to hold them there. See how I'm putting it they're not all going to be the same height. And I'm just going to kind of tuck that down into the dirt. And I got one of these guys. He wants to be a little bit stubborn. We'll turn him around here.
the way you thought about putting flowers in the fences is interesting. Very,
Well, you know,
very
when
creative. That's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah. You may have seen somebody that had a trellis in their backyard that kind of resembled that. Usually it'll be a rose bush or something on it. I'm going to take this one in here. He's going to stick up higher from the back. Right there, fella. Oh, I forgot. I found a really neat piece of just a little bit of a, I'm not sure, a shale type stone or something. And I wanted to put him underneath my bird bath. So I'm going to put him there. Cute. And I have this ribbon that has little tiny butterflies on it. And of course, miniature or small is the thing when it comes to fairies because they're not as big as we are. And so I'm going to cut a tiny little piece. And I'm just going to cut away most of what is the ribbon part so that it really does look more like a butterfly sitting there. I don't know if these are going to be quite sharp enough. They started to be, but I don't think these are a lot sharper than that. It's just right at the end. I'm going to get it. And there again, hot glue time. This is just going to take a dab. I'm going to put him on the edge of the water of the bird feeder, bird bath. That hot glue, that's kind of like the fairy dew, the dew tints from the fairies, kind of. Okay, so there, I have my little butterfly on my bird bath. You could use something even that you could actually, just a little glass candle cup or something, and even actually put water in it if you wanted.
I found we have these little jars. I found you can use something like this for a bird bath.
Yeah. Oh, Jozee made me some mushrooms too, so I need to put some mushrooms in. Let's see. Maybe right in here. She did such a great job on these mushrooms. Aren't they cute? And now let's see, what else did I find? You can use shells.
Yeah, I put a few shells in mine towards the beach area.
And you got a turtle in your water.
Yeah,
How'd you do that, Jose?
You found a sticker and just put it on a rock, and then I put it in between my silica bead things and can't even tell.
A tiny little rock.
Yep.
And then I had this was also a sticker, and it's a sprinkling can. And this was something from my boys' toys, and it was a little sign that says 45 miles per hour. But I'm turning it around. I tacked my sticker onto it, and now I have a sprinkling can to put back here close to my garden area so that it's ready whenever the fairy needs to water. She's got a sprinkling can because you know how hot it's been lately, and sometimes we need to water more. We don't get rain. And this is something I'm not going to use, but this is a ladybug that belonged in a plant. I'm not going to use it, but you just anything and everything. See, I have these tiny little mice. You could maybe do something with something like that.
If you have old tiny toys from when you were younger, your mom still has them. See if you can use those.
This is sort of a fossilized rock. It's just kind of neat. I think I'll stick it in there with those. Give that fairy a place to rest her feet when she sits on the mushroom. Oh my gosh, I have a frog.
Oh, cute.
Same thing, it's just a sticker. I put it on a little piece of stone. I think I'm going to stick him in my pumpkin garden because he would be really good to aerate the ground. And let's see. Now this is something. You see this little thing? This came out of the top of a little glue stick or something. Well, this is what I did with him. I just stuck this bee on him. Just the bee is made out of like a pipe cleaner. I just stuck that up in there, and then you could put him somewheres if you wanted to. He's pretty big, but he could stick in there someplace. I could even glue him up in here.
Mm-hmm.
There,
So
see?
cute.
So see, you can use just anything. All
Yeah.
you have to do is use your imagination, and that's what makes
And
it
she just
fun.
has a box of stuff that she found at her house, and
Yep.
didn't take much.
This, Grandma might have some of these. This is silk flowers, and it was a corsage that she would have worn. But what I liked about these was these things, because they could, in my mind, they could resemble a couple of different things. Have you ever seen a fountain in a pond or something?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they could be like a small fountain in my bird bath. Or, let's see, I have another idea for them. I think they could just be, or they could be a little thing for fairies to rest under too. They're kind of like on fish line. Oh, and something else I read in the books was you could take fish line to suspend, like if I wanted one of my butterflies to just look like it was flying, I could take a little piece of fish line, attach it to that, and just have a butterfly down here in mid-air, and you use fish line to do that because you can't see it. They do that a lot in movies. That's how they do a lot of that stuff when they're making movies. And then the last thing I'm going to add are these little bitty pebble type things. You might find these something similar, like if you've had a fish bowl before, you might have these little bitty pebbly things. Mine are actually they're scented to put in your drawers to make your clothes smell pretty. Smell? But I haven't used them for that, so I'm just going to strew mine kind of down through the path, make sure that I'm leaving room for my stepping stones, because these other little stones would hurt the fairy's feet, so yet I still have our stepping stones. See how colorful? Fairies love color. That's why they love flowers so much, because there's so many different colors that they can all have something different. And I do actually have a fairy thing. She came to visit, and she's just going to sit here on the edge and just kind of enjoy this little fairy garden for a while. I don't know if I need to turn it around so you can see it a little better.
I'll get some pictures of it.
Okay. Whoa, she didn't want to stay there. Okay, we'll kind of, she's supposed to sit on the edge, but she's tired, I guess. So anyway, that is just one way to make a little bit of a fairy garden.
There's plenty of different themes you can choose from. We have plenty of books here at the library you can check out on fairy gardens. They're very, very helpful. That's what we got most of our inspiration from.
You can make little wind chimes out of something, because it said that the fairies really like wind chimes because they like music, like to dance. Now, I used a planter. Jozee used a basket.
Yep.
You know what you can use? You can use an old plastic dish pan, in an old dish of some kind that Mom might have.
A container of any
kind, yeah. I made a few. I looked through here. Oh, a fish bowl. If you might have one of the old fish bowls about this big, and it's clear glass, that would make a cool fairy garden. Or maybe if Mom wants to get involved, you can make the real thing outside, and then you would use some real plants, where Jozee and I just used for the inside, but Mom would know, and she could get a few real plants that you could plant in the garden and actually have it there, so you could go and visit and watch for fairies and play. Look, here's a picture in this book. These books are so neat. They have so many ideas. Here's one that, like, Jozee has a campfire, and they actually have a little bitty coffee pot and stuff. There's so many neat ideas. Tea party at stuff. I'm just this has a bench, a wooden bench they've made out of twigs. You can use little statue things. But like we said, just simple little things that you can figure out, oh, that would work for that, like we've done with our bird baths.
Toothpicks are helpful. I used a lot of toothpicks in mine.
Craft sticks.
Yep.
See, here's one just made out of a dish pan, a plastic dish pan, and this little girl, she put up like a clothesline with tiny clothespins. And there's one, Jozee, I don't know if you saw it. Yeah, I think you did. It has a hammock.
Oh, yep.
They just took probably a little piece of cloth and tied strings to it. Here's a really cool one. You can use pine cones and you can make a drawing first to decide how you might want to do it, or
Map
you don't
it
have
out.
to. Yep. Or you don't have to. You can just, and they've used acorns. If you've got an oak tree close by, they've used acorns. And then the top of the acorn can be a little hat for a fairy. There's just so many different, everybody's can be different, and every one of them is just going to be neat. So we have this book. It tells you ways and things you can use, and don't forget, your imagination is, that's not going to stop you at all. That you don't have to do what the book says. Use your imagination.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah. Then we have this one. This one is really cool, and it is really about there's more outside fairy gardens, and this one gives you more ideas for the plants to use and stuff. Yep. We have one that has puzzles in it. I don't think we have it here. So, but it has little hide and seek type puzzles.
Yeah.
So if you have a younger brother or sister, you could sit and do that together. And this one is How Two Girls Convince the World That Fairies Are Real. This is a book you may want to read. It has a lot of actual pictures these girls took of fairies in their gardens.
I read that a few signs that fairies took up your fairy garden is the plants that you planted will be more lush and beautiful. They'll thrive more with fairies.
It's because they take care of them.
Yeah, they do take care of them. The peaceful, soothing energy will come from your garden. You'll feel more relaxed once you begin it, once you start it. And more insects will also enjoy your fairy garden. If butterflies start coming around, that could mean that fairies inhabited your garden. Things like that. Just more growth, pretty much.
Cool. Something else you might use is marbles, or maybe you've got some little dogs or kitties in some of your toys. You can always add that. Ladders. You can take popsicle sticks or toothpicks and make like a little ladder. Some of them, they use like a piece of like a branch, and they make it look like a tree house kind of.
Yeah.
Put a porch on it. And you can use moss, and if you're doing a real fairy garden, moss is really good because it helps to hold the moisture for the plants.
Very helpful.
But shells, rocks,
anything
you can figure out to use. Anything. Wooden slices, meaning like if Dad has a twig that falls off from the tree, say a small branch, maybe you can get him to cut it into little circle shapes, and you can use it for chairs and a table. Just lots and lots of things. I'm sure that you guys are going to come up with some really cool ideas, and we would like for you to let us know and show us.
Yeah, we'd love to see them.
Can't they send us pictures?
Yep, you can post it on our Facebook page or in the comments. You can show us in person. I would love to see some in person.
Yeah,
honestly.
Bring them in.
Yeah, bring them in. We could display them probably.
We might even have some leftovers here that they could have to use for some of theirs if they want.
Yeah.
And you had some other items there that you were going to suggest they could use if they wanted, right, Jozee?
I had a lot of yarn and stuff. I was thinking about like the clothespin thing with the, what is that called?
Clothesline.
The clothesline. I was thinking about having one of those. I used this big, thick white string for around my sand area because it seemed kind of beachy. And this stuff I thought would be great as a filler for the plants and stuff. It's kind of straw twiny, I think. I think that would have been.
It might be called like raffia.
Yeah.
You got some back here.
I think. Yeah, I think that was a good idea to fill in. That's pretty much it.
I love your little campfire, that candle idea.
Thank you. Yeah, I used a candle.
Do they know what those little candle?
Like a tea candle.
Yeah, tea candle.
I used an electric one that doesn't have real fire because
battery.
Yeah, it's battery.
Yeah, those are so cool, and it does. It looks like a flickering campfire.
It's pretty cool.
She's got her lawn chair there. And
yep,
umbrellas.
I made a ladybug crossing sign.
Oh yeah, we have to have that. Signs are really cool too. Yeah, put signs in like fairies welcome, ferry crossing, just all kinds of things like that. You can make little signs out of, well, you just used a toothpick and some construction paper, right?
Yeah.
So
Just wrote it on there.
yeah, I think that's really cool. Like your fairy house. I wonder how much you think fairies spend time in their house. I bet it sounds like they must just kind of be in the garden at night and early morning.
Yeah.
That's why we don't see them, because we're sleeping then.
Yep.
So if you get up early some morning, you might go out and kind of scout around looking for them. But we hope you'll want to do this, and like we said, like Miss Jozee said, come on in and we want to see your ideas, but maybe we'll have some leftover stuff here if you want to come in and get a few things that you liked using. But we want to see what your
post
ideas
pictures of your fairy gardens. That would be awesome to see. Yeah. And thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yay. Cool.